All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are going to crack open one of the most critical and honestly most misunderstood parts of any criminal trial, the judge's final words to the jury. And look, these aren't just some final goodbyes. They are literally the foundation that a verdict is built on. So let's get right to it. What are these final words, really? Are they a strict set of commands that the jury absolutely must obey? Or are they more like a guidebook to help them find their own way? As you're about to see, the answer is a really fascinating balancing act. So before we can even get to the judge, you've got to understand what the jury is up against. And honestly, their job can feel, well, pretty much impossible. No, seriously. Just imagine it for a second. You're in that jury box. For weeks, you've been listening to evidence, arguments, testimony. Some of it's confusing, some of it's contradictory. So now what? You and 11 strangers have to take all of that and decide someone's fate? That is a massive, massive responsibility. Okay, so how on earth does the system expect a jury to sort through that mountain of information? Well, it all comes down to this really critical moment called the summing up. Think of it as the instruction manual for how to reach a verdict. And it's so important to get this right. This is not just some casual recap of the trial. No. The summing up has two very specific jobs. First, it's got to explain the laws that actually matter in this case. And second, it has to clearly lay out the questions, the real issues the jury has to answer to get to a verdict. And this, right here, this is the heart of it all. Our entire legal system is basically running on faith. It's the faith that regular people, a jury, can actually understand these legal directions and then apply them fairly. If that faith breaks down, the whole trial system just falls apart. All right, so let's talk about the law part. When the judge is laying down the law, their job isn't to just give a general lecture. Not at all. They have a very specific duty here, to boil it all down to only what is absolutely essential for this case. The gold standard for this, it was pretty much set by a judge named Sir Leo Cusson. And his whole point was, look, you can't just throw the entire legal library at a jury. That's useless. The guidance has to be super specific and actually practical. What made Cusson's approach so brilliant is how he broke it down. It's a simple three-step process. 1, the judge has to figure out what the real issues, the real disagreements are in the case. 2, they have to turn to the jury and say, okay, here are the exact questions you need to answer. And 3, they connect all the dots, explaining precisely how the law fits with each of those specific questions. And today, that idea has been refined even more. A judge has to be almost like a surgeon, super precise. They explain only the law the jury needs to know. They point to the key pieces of evidence without, retrying the whole case. And they have to be fair in how they summarize the arguments from both the prosecution and the defense. It's all about one thing, focusing the jury on what really, truly matters. Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting and really tricky. This brings us to the most delicate part of the judge's job. Because when we start talking about the facts of the case, the evidence, the judge has to walk a very, very fine tightrope. And this, right here, shows you that core tension perfectly. Explaining the law, that's a must-do. It is absolutely not optional. But commenting on the facts, that's just a may-do. It's a power they can use, but believe me, they are extremely careful with it. And there's a really good reason for that caution. The whole point of a judge commenting on the evidence is never, ever to try and sway the jury. It's not about nudging them one way or the other. It's purely about fairness. Maybe they'll organize some really complex evidence or gently remind the jury of a key detail they might have overlooked. It's all about clarity, not influence. In fact, get this, the High Court has said something pretty incredible about this. They've basically said that the risk of accidentally influencing the jury is so high that more often than not, the safest thing for a judge to do is to just say nothing at all about the facts. Just lay out the law and let the jury get to work. Wow. So, okay, if a judge has to be that careful just commenting on facts, is there a line they can absolutely, positively never ever cross? Oh, yes, and the answer might just surprise you. Think about that scene you've seen in a dozen movies, right? The evidence against the defendant is just, it's overwhelming. It seems like a total slam dunk. So, can the judge just slam down the gavel and say, all right, that's it, I'm telling you to find this person guilty? The answer is one single, powerful, absolute word: never. A judge in a criminal trial has zero power under any circumstance to order a jury to convict someone. It cannot happen. And this amazing quote from Lord Salmon tells you exactly why. The jury alone have the right to decide that the accused is guilty. That right, that power, belongs only to the jury. To take that away will completely destroy the entire point of having a trial by your peers. And this absolute rule exists for one fundamental reason: to protect the person accused of the crime. But here's what's so fascinating. It doesn't work the other way around. A judge can actually tell a jury to acquit someone if there's simply no evidence to support a conviction. So you see, the whole system is built with this incredibly important one-way safeguard to prevent the state from wrongly convicting someone. Okay, so let's wrap this all up. What does this whole balancing act, this careful dance, actually mean for our justice system? Well, in a word, everything. It is the absolute foundation of what we call fairness. When you boil it all down, the judge's final words are there to guide the jury, to empower them, not to control them. You can think of it like this. The judge is the expert navigator. They provide the map and the compass. That's the law. But the jury, they're the ones who have to actually make the journey. They're the explorers who decide on the final destination, which leaves us with one last big question to think about. In this whole complicated dance between the law and the facts, between guidance and the final decision, who do you think really holds the most power in that courtroom? Is it the person who explains the rules of the game, or is it the 12 people who actually decide who wins?